Good afternoon. Welcome to Who's Tom and Dick? With your hosts, Martin Weavers and Patrick Mortimer.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Martin. Here we are again.
Yeah, how you doing?
The old weeks seem to fly by, don't they, hey?
I know. Did you enjoy it last week?
Yeah, that was good. I think we got quite good feedback and some nice questions and bits and pieces, didn't we?
I tell you what, we had people listening all over the world. We had people from Jacksonville.
Yeah.
And Debbie Laribus was Dallas in Texas.
Yeah.
It's nice, it's getting all over the world.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. Well, we're going to just chat on a few things today, subjects such as what we've been up to during the week and interesting facts, one thing and another. And we're going to discuss pillboxes or dosset boxes. Of course, we got listeners' comments to talk about this week, which is nice.
Yeah, we've got a few people who commented on the Facebook page and all that.
Yeah.
So that'll be nice. I'll read a few of those out a little bit later on.
Okay, mate. So what have you been up to anyway this week?
Oh, it's been a busy week with hospital appointments, which, as I said, you don't realise how many times you're going to go to hospital for different things. Some are just routine. I've had to put in samples for different things. And I had a Friday appointment, which was for diabetes. The day I got told that I got cancer, they come up to me and said, "You've got no diabetes." And I thought, oh, fantastic. And then the next hour, I got told I got cancer on the same day.
Oh, God. Well, you did have diabetes at one point, didn't you?
I did, yeah. I was 20 stone.
Blimey.
And I went down to 13 stone just purely by diet alone, which my wife, Linny, said he doesn't need pills, he can diet on his own.
Right.
And they said, no, there's no way you're going to lose all that weight. Anyway, bless her, she wasn't, like a dictator or anything like that, and I could still eat certain things. I had treats, but we did. I got right down, and when I was in Benidorm, I was about 12 and a half stone.
Right.
And when I come back, but the diabetes went.
Did you add any exercise into that at all, or was it just diet?
It was mainly, I used to do the football refereeing, didn't I?
Yeah.
Which was a really good standard. So that kept me really, really fit. And, I was keeping up with these 18-year-olds, and I always remember in one game I did, this young lad, I said, "What's the matter, mate?" He said, "I've got cramp." And he's 18 years old, and there's me at 60 at the time running around, because people don't realise the amount of running you do as a referee, which is diagonally and all things like that.
Yeah.
But
you were 20 stone when you were refereeing, weren't you, at one stage?
I was.
So that wasn't actually getting your weight down.
No.
So it must be purely diet.
Well, it was, and I always remember I was up for promotion with my refereeing, and they put very, very politely that I need to get more active around the field.
Right.
They didn't put you need to lose weight, you fat person, which at the time wasn't it's like politically,
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, but nowadays nobody would write that. But
Right.
Anyway, they did put it in a nice way.
Yeah, well, when we had those two referees, George and I can't remember her name now.
Abby,
down at the Button Club the other week, it was interesting to see exactly how much excessive training they have to do.
It is, yeah.
Don't realise.
I like the way you call it the Button Club.
Well,
it's what my son calls it. So, but it's called Sporting Memories.
Yes.
So that's what the club is really. But yes, and also for passing the fitness tests. Some people probably don't realise that referees have to pass the fitness test.
Yeah.
And if you don't pass it, then you can't go to that standard that you're refereeing.
You're aiming for as well.
Yeah, it's a bit outdated, the referee's test, because it's a certain amount of laps of a track in a certain amount of time.
Right.
And I think the old bleep test was better, where you did sort of short runs, long runs, and things like that. But because that's what you do as a referee. You don't just run for three and a half, or for 12 minutes. That's what the test is.
Yeah.
And but certainly all that kept me fit.
Yeah,
and
good.
Helped me lose the weight, which then I got out of the stage 2 diabetes. It was hard, because some of the nice things, as everybody knows, being a singer, my time when I wanted to eat was sort of 1 o'clock in the morning after a show, where I could quite easily, which I said I could quite easily. Well, I used to eat a Big Mac, a large thick...
I know.
Yeah.
I know, we've been there.
I know. A large thick shake. And remember the time we always said, we have to stop at cafes and things like that on the way back. Was always disappointed when they were closed.
Yeah.
But I'd have a full meal at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning,
Right.
and think, I'm going to do a football match in the morning. That'll burn that off, but it just doesn't.
No,
and
no.
it all stayed on you. And as I say, I always expected to be diabetic. I really did. I
Right.
always expected it more than having cancer. But to get the two,
Yeah.
so I think that's enough illnesses now. I don't want any more.
This test you're going for, will that tell you whether you've got it or not got it then? is it?
Yeah. I mean, basically, the last one was 2 years ago that I had. And literally, they just do a blood test and they look at everything and they say whether you've got it or not.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'd be mortified if I got it again.
Yeah.
But I know what I do. But the trouble is, it's a two-way thing. My doctor wants me to put on weight, which helps me fight the cancer.
That's right, yeah.
Which I have done a little bit. I've put on 1/2 stone just recently, which I didn't like doing, but I have done. And then with the diabetes, you need to lose weight.
Yeah.
So I suppose it's looking at your diet and
It
things
is.
like that.
Well, funnily enough, when I went in to have my test, you're slightly overweight. And I said, what? And she said, well, you're carrying probably about 1/2 stone more than you need to. And I said, so have I got to lose that? And she said, no, don't lose it, whatever you do, because you'll need that 1/2 stone if you get ill,
Yeah.
because you'll soon lose it.
Yes.
So you need to be wary that you need to, carry a little bit of weight. All the good foods.
But you've never been
Well, I've never been big.
large.
No. You've said that, carefully, didn't you?
Yeah.
But, all the things that are nice are bad for you. Aren't they? So it makes it almost impossible for me, because I love
Yeah.
my Sunday roasts. I like my fry-up breakfast. Not that I have them, but I do like the old full English.
So are you more careful now with what you're eating? Because obviously you say you like it. We've just had a little snack
Yeah.
just before we done this, and Pat said he's had his quote. We had cheese and crackers, and he said he's had his quote of cheese for the month. So are you more careful now with what you're?
I try to be. Wendy might be listening to this, so I've got to be careful how I act, because she doesn't buy anything. She buys fruit. So
Good old Wendy.
Gonna go hunting in the cupboards. All I can find is fruit. So
Yeah.
when she goes away, occasionally I have a little treat. But
But your culinary skills aren't the best neither, are
no,
they?
beans on toast. Is
Yeah,
quite
I've seen them on
quite-
Facebook.
We're looking at the air fryers, because apparently they're meant to be easy to use. But
Oh, we've got one. It's fantastic.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I might have to give that a try.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But it's interesting. The trouble is, to suddenly say you've got to go on a diet and you've got to do exercise to get rid of diabetes, that's not easy for everybody, because some people, suffering with things like arthritis and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So it's not easy.
So what have you got planned this week?
Well, I had on Saturday, believe it or not, my COVID and flu vaccination.
Oh, wow.
And that seemed to have gone okay.
2 in 1, eh?
Yeah, well, I normally suffer with them for a few days, feel pretty rough, but last year I had them both together to get it all over and done with, and I have to exactly time when I have my jabs, because I've got to time it between Ipswich's home games, because I don't want to have a jab and then have to go to a home game in a couple of days, because, I might be feeling rough. I've had those this weekend, and I've been out to do me normal walking. I try and get in 5,000 steps a day. I know it should be 10.
Really?
But I always try and get those steps in to get the heart pumping.
Because I know sometimes when I call you, you're walking around Sudbury and all that, and you always say it's for your exercise. I didn't realise you did it,
It is. It's really stop all the joints seizing up and to get my heart pumping, to do the regular exercise. One of the things that you've got to do with heart disease is you've got to get some sort of exercise. It doesn't have to be strenuous, but a good brisk walk is good enough. 20 minutes, that's all you need. But I always try and aim for the 5,000 steps.
But the thing is, I mean, you're very lucky because you are active.
Yeah.
But some people actually can't do this,
No,
can
they
they?
can't.
And,
They can't.
And it's more fortunate. And I think that's when you sit down and this is where perhaps people do get more depressed and things like that, because they can't do it. But if you can, it's fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah, I think you've got to keep your mind active and have some hobbies and things, because if you're just sitting around, you're just thinking, thinking all the time, and that's not good for anybody.
No.
Yeah, so I've got my walks out of the way. Anyway, let's move on to the interesting fact. Causes of heart attack: smoking. Well, I don't do that. High-fat diet. Well, I don't really do that. Diabetes. I haven't got that. High cholesterol. I've never had high cholesterol. High blood pressure. Nope, don't have that. Overweight. No, I'm not that. Yet I've had 2 heart attacks.
Yeah,
So,
it's strange, isn't it?
it is,
You've ticked every single box.
I've ticked every single box. I should be the perfect candidate to avoid heart disease.
Well, I remember when you told me, because we hadn't seen each other for a while, and then I said, "How are you?" And you suddenly said, "I've had 2 heart attacks." I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
So,
well, the doctors, I asked this question in hospital the second time round. Well, it's the first time actually. And I said, well, how have I got heart disease? And he said, well, in your case, it's got to be hereditary. So, no one's safe. You need to keep an eye on things, get your cholesterol tested.
Yeah.
But it's so difficult these days because trying to get an appointment at your doctor's surgery,
I know.
Yeah,
we mentioned that last week when I said about, getting people to go and check out and not listen on Facebook to, I've got this, what do you think I've got? Go and see your doctor. But, it is hard to get your appointments. Any other facts you got there?
Well, I can say one thing. Apple Watches, everybody raves about them, but they do not detect heart attacks.
Other watches are available.
Sorry. Yeah, they are. An apple a day keeps the doctor away. So, you've got to look for signs, simple signs. You keep, your body tells you when you're not right.
Oh, yeah.
There's 30,000 cardiac arrests each year, 100,000 hospital admissions per year. That's 1 every 5 minutes.
Wow.
So, that means, you're going to have 6 hospital admissions while we're sitting here talking.
God.
So it is happening. So, just beware. Get checked out if you've got any concerns, but don't go flooding to the doctors.
We can't say that enough on here,
we
can we?
can't, no.
Just to get checked out. I've got some things that, I've been looking at different kinds of cancer and all that, and skin cancer is really, really on the rise. I mean, a lot of people are going abroad anyway, and people sit out in the sun. But it's mainly because of these tanning booths. Some people say they're good, some people say they're bad. Well, it proves it's on the rise because of that. And but on the good side, we have 28 million cancer survivors. So it's not always bad news when you get told that you've got cancer. As I said, mine, I cannot get rid of mine. I just have to learn to live with mine.
Yeah.
But there are so many people. And I feel envious of these people who ring the bells because they're clear of it, and they get clear for so many years. But as I say, 28 million cancer survivors. So when you think of it, this is all over the world, I know. But, all these 28 million people, months and years before that, were so disappointed and distraught that they'd got cancer, but now they've survived it. So, but I couldn't believe how far cancer goes back. It was actually described by the ancient Egyptians.
Really?
Yeah, all those years ago. So whether they wrote it on their tablets,
probably.
I wonder if they took the tablets. But
they've got I don't know what they
on the hieroglyphics. What they used to put on the caves. I suppose there must be some kind of mention of it.
Yeah,
but that's how far it goes back. Well, when I was in hospital recently, a guy had got, which I didn't realise people still get, but I suppose there are people around who can have survived it, asbestosis.
Right.
He'd got that.
Cracking.
And I hadn't heard of anybody having that for years. In fact, they looked into my lung cancer.
Yeah, I was going to say, you must have come across asbestos in the schools and that sort of thing.
Well, years ago, more so in the building.
Yeah.
I mean, I would be told to go and clear a loft out, go into this space, go into that space, not knowing what was in there. I mean, I go back to building in the 1980s.
Yeah.
And all this people weren't aware of this so much then, and you just did it. You went in with no masks, nothing.
I didn't realise, and I've been in the construction industry all my life, and I didn't realise that Artex contains asbestos.
Yes, when you look into it, into the powder, there is a shiny particles in it.
Right.
And I've often wondered, is that the asbestos bits in it? Because and it's found in other things that you don't realise as well. But it's always best to check the package, as they say. But this is where it all goes, where it can go wrong, because you think if it's sealed. Yeah. And then some people plaster their ceilings over the Artex. Now, when someone comes and then perhaps takes that down in a few years' time, then they're once again disturbing something that's got the.
Well, they are, but when you were dealing with Artex during your times in construction, there weren't safety masks to wear and things like that. You just got on with it and breathed it all in, didn't you?
Yeah. I used to do a lot of Artex and I used to enjoy it. But you're just doing it as a day-to-day job at the time.
But nowadays they come in with all our breathing apparatus on and
I know.
that sort of thing, so they should be protected to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, let's get on to the funny subject of pill boxes or Dossett boxes. I've never called it a Dossett box. Mine's always been called a pill box.
I've never known it as anything else but a Dossett box.
Right.
But I mean, I'm sure lots of people. And we have a Monday evening. We get really excited here on a Monday night. We fill the box up.
Yeah.
And it's just as well because I don't know about other people, but I do forget to take tablets from time to time. I'm terrible, especially when I've just been on. I had an infection in my bowel, which was the last infection I got. Which I seem to get a different infection every couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But anyway, I had to have 4 a day, and then you have to space them between 6 hours. But
Right.
that was quite hard, to space them. So anyway, I put them in the boxes, but it was interesting. I got the box out, and you just don't realise what amount of tablets you're taking.
Yeah.
I mean, I have 9 in the morning,
Right.
and then midday I have a couple. 5 early evening, and then 4 more just before I go to bed. So
Crikey.
all in all, I have 20 tablets a day.
Yeah.
And I always say I showed my kids, the 9, I took a picture, I said, it's breakfast time, and that's what I'd have for breakfast. But, I'd have 120 if it kept me alive. Each one does something different for pain, and I am pain-free. So they must be doing something good.
But every one comes with a leaflet, and each one comes with a list of side effects, doesn't it?
Oh, it does.
So you imagine taking 20 tablets, and the side effects you could be, are you high?
I'm not high, but we do read these leaflets, and I would recommend reading these leaflets because it is interesting to see what side effects you can get. I mean, a lot of them are diarrhea and sickness, but when you read some of them, certainly, I don't know about the tablets that you have, but certainly the ones I have, the last one is death.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, so I avoid that one like the plague. And but no, I know that it can have an adverse effect on some people, and that could cause that.
Yeah, I take 3 in the morning and four in the evening.
See, I thought you'd have more than that.
No, it has been taken down. I took more when I come out after surgery, but then they weaned me off a couple. And one of the 4 I take in the evening, I should really take at tea time, but I thought, no, I'll add that into the evening one. But the amazing thing is when I look through my list and see what they're for, I've got 7 tablets. 6 tablets are for various support systems to help me get through my heart disease. And the 7th tablet is because I'm on the other 6. So that's because I'm taking tablets, and probably one of yours is the same, or 2 of yours are the same.
Well, I've been on antibiotics the last 10 days because I got a bowel infection, and this bowel infection is for people who have been on antibiotics for a long time.
Oh, right.
So when I was in hospital all that time with the pneumonia, I was on antibiotics nearly every day. And then what did they give me to try and get rid of the, antibiotics?
Yeah.
So
And the trouble is you can gradually get immune to antibiotics, can't you? So you've got to be careful how much of that you take, but you've got to take what the doctor orders.
Well, that's why they weaned me off them in the hospital, so I didn't take quite so many.
Yeah.
And in fact, some days they were, my blood markers were coming down because I was taking less antibiotics.
Right.
And they said, well, look, the markers are still coming down and you're not on them, so we're not going to put you back on them.
So your system must have kicked in.
And then something else would happen, and because obviously your system is all to pieces,
Yeah, well, you had a fair old slog of nearly 2 months in there, didn't you?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But
So,
no, it's strange. I mean, the pill boxes, I do 3 boxes each time, so I've got like 3 weeks worth. I know that you shouldn't do much more than that because they don't like you to take the tablets out the silver container because they lose their potency perhaps or something like that. I don't know whether that's true or not. So I do 3 weeks in advance, so I've always got them there. But the amazing thing that I always find is how quickly that 3 weeks comes round.
Yeah. Well, I notice even a week, the deterioration of a tablet.
Yeah.
You definitely can. So like you said, for 3 weeks,
Yeah.
you definitely would notice it.
Right. So I better perhaps relook at that then. So we've had a few listeners now, which is good news. Thank you very much, everyone. And some comments coming in. So we'll just run through a few comments, shall we, Martin?
Yeah, Hev Vaughan put up on the, because we went live on Facebook the first week. She was telling us about her mini heart attack that she had, and she got the pains like most people get down the arms. She's on statins for the rest of her life.
Right.
So, which a lot of people who have the heart attacks,
They are, yeah.
You're on statins, aren't
Yeah,
you? Yeah. So that was what her sort of symptoms were. We had Moira Ann Shearer, who mentioned about her cancer. I did mention this briefly in the first podcast about getting knocked. My mum used to always say that if you have a bad knock, you can get cancer, and I'd never thought nothing of it. But obviously, twice when Moira was younger, she got it, and later in life as well. So there could be some
Something
truth
in that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it can be sort of coincidence. We had an anonymous participant, that's what they put on Facebook nowadays. They had throat cancer and they'd never smoked in their life.
Right.
This is like the Roy Castle thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where he got the throat cancer as well, playing the old trumpet in the clubs. And myself,
Yeah.
I've got lung cancer
Yeah.
and I've never smoked in my life.
No.
But this anonymous participant was offered a trial chemotherapy from America.
Right.
And 3 years on after that, he was surviving really, really good. So it does just show you that some of these trial drugs can sort of work. And he's had cancer 2 more times since then.
Yeah.
But now we're gone on another 10 years, and he's still surviving it. So well done to whoever that was.
That's good news.
Yeah. Friend of mine through the Bay City Rollers, Gina Sugden. Best wishes to her husband, Peter. He's got myeloma cancer. She says that every day is a challenge. And I can verify that. Every day is a challenge and different as well. You never know what's going to happen. So good luck with that, Gina and Peter. We send her love.
Yep, all the best.
And the last one, guy called Charlie Cook. He was in intensive care for over 5 weeks with strep pneumonia and pancreatitis. I don't know what the strep means, but certainly I had pneumonia, so I know how you're feeling with pneumonia. But I also got sepsis and a collapsed lung
Right.
with mine. So if we're playing top trumps, I might have just trumped that one.
Yeah.
But certainly not sort of taking a mickey out of what you had, Charlie. And he was actually put in an induced coma for 3 weeks.
Blimey.
Yeah. So it's been a roller coaster, he says, but it's nice now to get back to normal. So thanks to everybody who shared those things with us, because we wouldn't have a podcast if we didn't have people sharing it with us. It'd just be
that's
me and
right.
you all the time, wouldn't
Yeah.
So-
People soon get bored with that.
So we like to give you a mention, and obviously what you've had, and how you're getting on with it, and how how you go about your day-to-day life, because we all do it differently.
Touching on that lady, I can't remember her name, who had the gentle heart attack, did she say? Or
Yeah, Hev Vaughan.
Yeah. It's unbelievable that you can have a heart attack and don't know it.
Really?
Yeah. I've heard this a lot, and one of my doctors said that, we can look at people's hearts and we can see if there's been any trauma or anything there. And some people do have silent heart attacks. So, it is important to get checked. If you feel anything slightly off, that's not normal, get it checked, That's if you can get past the receptionist on the doctors, that is. But I've found a better way of getting into the doctors now. I just go up, face off the receptionist.
Yeah.
But on the phone, they seem to have this barrier where they can fight you off. So I've never had any problem with that surgery, to be honest. They're really good. So, just keep an eye on it.
You knew about the time I had a suspected heart attack, didn't you?
No?
Yep. I'd had a.
It weren't when you had to pay for drinks round, was it?
No. Oh. I was married to my second wife, Brenda, who you know.
Yeah.
And Brenda was a good cook, and she used to like having all the family around and all that. And we had all the family around for breakfast one morning. We had a huge big fry up, and then in the afternoon I went down to the shop and bought some cakes. And I had a couple of the cakes, and I put the others in the cupboard. And then we had tea, and we had a roast, and Brenda used to put a huge big plate full and all that. And I remember thinking, God, I'm really full. And I was watching the Masters golf that night, and it went on to a a tie, an extra hole.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there, I thought, there's a couple more cakes in the cupboard there. I think I'll go and get those. So anyway, I had these cakes and went and suddenly I'm sitting there and my heart, where my heart is,
Yeah.
I was getting this chronic pain and I had to press a finger into it. And for 10 seconds, I got a release of that pain. It was really chronic that I was nearly crying. So I was pressing my heart and then 10 seconds of relief and then think, and then having to press it again. And anyway, I went up to bed and I said to Brenda, I said, I'm really struggling here. She said, why? And I told her why. She said, if it's that bad, we need to get an ambulance. So sure enough, got an ambulance, blues and twos, all the way off to Colchester Hospital.
Yeah.
They got me into hospital. And that's when you mentioned in last week's podcast about the spray on the
under the tongue. Yeah.
As soon as I got there, they gave me this spray on the tongue and the pain went away instantly.
Right.
And they said, well, that could be good news and it could be bad news. They said the good news is we now know what it is, but the bad news is you got heart trouble.
Right.
And so I thought, oh, God. Anyway, the next morning I went through all the tests with all the bits stuck to me and they said, oh, can't find nothing wrong there. And they said, but tomorrow, they said, will be the real test. We're going to put you on the treadmill.
Right.
And have you done a treadmill?
Yeah.
And I got on the treadmill and they said, this will be the test and to show what you've got.
Yeah.
So anyway, for 15 minutes, I'm on there, I'm running on this treadmill and I was getting slightly tired, but anyway, I got off. And anyway, they looked at it and they said, that's strange. Can't find nothing wrong with you.
Right.
And anyway, I went for a meeting with the doctor and he said, everything's fine. He said, the only thing we can put it down to is gluttony. So I ate too much that day, I think.
And everybody wonder why you were 20 stone.
That's right.
Brilliant. Don't time fly when you're enjoying yourself.
Yeah, we'll have more to talk about next week.
Yeah. Well, I've enjoyed it.
Me
You?
too.
Good.
Yeah.
I hope you guys have. Please like and share our podcast. We're trying to get it across to as many people as we can. And check us out on Facebook, TikTok,
Yeah, not forgetting that one.
Twitter, or all the social media sites.
With the
And
QR code.
With the QR code, on our Facebook page, there'll be a link to all our podcast downloads. And you can just show your phone to the QR code and that will take you straight there. Thanks very much again, Martin.
Thank you, Patrick. I've enjoyed it.
Everybody take it easy.
Have a good week.
And we'll see you next week.
Goodbye.
Bye.